appointment of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission. And we don't have to read the preamble, so that's good. So let's jump right into the work session items. We have the Basha 29 Wood Island Road Order of Conditions. And are we good to sign that, Kim?
I think so.
All right.
Pretty standard order. Yeah, if you could physically sign it, that would be awesome.
Yep. Thank you. Borrow your pen, please. Thanks. Okay, the August 8th, 2023 minutes, did everyone get a chance to take a look at those? Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
No, abstain.
I wasn't there.
I'm going to abstain too.
Okay.
Oh, we might not have enough.
Yes, we have three. We're gonna have to, yeah, we're gonna have to hold off, Anna, because we don't have enough votes. We have three abstentions. So I'll have to wait till Jim is here. Okay, Toll Brothers, Abbott Realty Trust, Elmwood 3 subdivision, request for a 3-year extension permit. Kim.
Yep, so this is for the Hopkinton bylaw only order of conditions that the commission issued in 2021 for the subdivision, the construction of the roadway, associated utilities, and then the replication of the isolated vegetated wetland in that location. I did just take a look at the order and refresh myself with the conditions, and the applicant who purchased the property, Toll Brothers, and the development seems to be following all the conditions so far. So I don't see a reason why not to
Okay.
approve the extension.
Great, thank you. Questions from the commission? Questions from the audience? Is there a motion to approve the request for the 3-year extension permit for the Elmwood 3 subdivision?
So moved.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Brendan Properties, 20 Saddle Hill Road, a request for a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, let me just pull up a plan. So this was a order of conditions for a single-family home. It was constructed in conjunction with the property next door, which was 22 Saddle Hill Road. And the COC came before the commission, I think first last year. Lucas reviewed it and had some comments that we worked through. So the only remaining comment here was this property and the property next door were permitted with natural wildflower meadow areas. And they were actually permitted, those meadow areas occurred in front of the PIB. And so the last time that Joe was out there, and then subsequently I was out there in the spring, I didn't feel that the meadow area had been established enough. It looked like perhaps the landowner had mowed at some point. So I went back out last week. I have some photos. The developer also did some plantings as well, some small plantings, some mint, and some other wildflowers. So this is one of the houses we had discussed before that the wildflower area is shown with a pheno rod. So here's the main wildflower area that we're looking at. So you can see it's a little bit more grown in. And here are some of the plantings.
Yep.
So it is the best it's ever looked. Is it perfect? No. It does have some plantings and some, it's not being actively mowed. Again, as we had discussed on the other property, I think the commission, well, I think I personally wouldn't recommend to the commission to have the wildflower area in front of the PIBs again. I think there's kind of a lesson learned here, but in terms of compliance for this house, I think that we've reached substantial compliance. And we have had that, educational component with the homeowner as well. So hopefully we can get continued compliance.
So your recommendation is to close or to issue the certificate of compliance, Kim?
My recommendation would be to issue the certificate at this point.
All right, and then not to use phenol rods going forward on other properties too, right?
I would say any area that the commission intends to preserve in any way in perpetuity should be located behind a PIB.
Yeah. Okay, questions from the commission? Questions from the audience? A motion to issue the COC for this property? So moved. And
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Kim, on the Peter Pecoro Drive, when does that expire? Do you know I know it's continued.
It was like last week, a few days ago.
Okay.
The 31st. There we go. The 30th, Halloween. So we're trying to get into contact with the landowner there so we can get compliance. But yeah, it kind of fell off.
Good catch. Okay, so why don't we, what time is it? I guess we have 5 more minutes. So the public forum requests the fiscal year budget for the upcoming year. Kim, there was a couple questions you wanted to run by the commission.
Yeah, so fiscal year 2025 budgets process is beginning. So this is the time to speak up if there's anything in particular that, you feel that the Conservation Department should request funds for. So some things that we're going to request to carry forward in 2025 is money to fabricate the PIB medallions and provide those medallions. And then some funds for educational signage. Specifically, we had some areas in mind, vernal pools, and we'd like to start doing some signage on town-owned facilities that are green LID facilities so that individuals can be aware of what those facilities are and what they're doing, and then also so that the individuals who are maintaining them may have also a better idea of what to do in terms of maintenance.
Okay. So are there any ideas for other projects or things that you would like to request funding for?
Turtle signs.
I was going to say, turtle signs, Ed?
All right. How much were they, Ed, when you got them a couple years ago? Do you recall?
Somewhere between $35 and $50
Each?
Yeah.
I remember seeing a bill for 400, but I feel like that was a lot.
That was not for one sign. I want to make that perfectly
I
clear.
don't know what the quantity was.
Maybe if you can dig up that invoice and get it to Kim, we can order some more of those. We'll put in the budget, I should say.
Are we going to go ahead and get the new salamander costume for Matt?
Yeah, that's good.
I
I'm just
have
going
it
to
in
give him
my-
the stinky repaired one.
I have it in my closet from when I had to wear it. I can.
So Matt, the new commission member is obligated to dress up in the salamander costume and go to the town events, preaching about the benefits of conservation.
For a whole year, right?
For a whole year, yeah. So, if you want a new costume, let Kim know. Okay, new hearings. Let's jump into those. Pine 3 Curtis Road. This is a request for determination of applicability for a septic system. I'm just going to read this. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 at 7 at Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street. To hear all persons interested in a requested determination of applicability filed by Jeff Pine to construct a septic system to replace a failed cesspool. Good evening.
Good evening, Dan McIntyre representing the Pines on this particular application. They are in the process of readying the house for sale. It did not pass a Title V inspection, so we were retained to design a new one. If I could you up here maybe? This is Curtis Road over here, the house here. The existing system is essentially a cesspool right in the backyard here. We had the wetlands delineated by Goddard Consulting. You can see that nice natural line that was formed back there. Buffer zone extends onto the property up to about the back of the house. We did some soil testing back here. We were underwhelmed with the type of soils back there. It was kind of a silt loam, very high groundwater table, and in close proximity to the wetlands. So we came around the front and tested back here. We had much better soils. So we're proposing to relocate the leach field to the front yard. We couldn't change the plumbing in the house, so the plumbing still is coming out the back. We need to have a new septic tank about the same location as the cesspool, pump tank, and we're pumping around to the front yard. This is happening in most of the lots that are being replaced on Curtis Road going into the front yard now. So we've submitted this to the Board of Health. They've approved it, pending your approval, of course. Lucas did review the wetland lines. They had a few comments which they could probably go off of. I think they found additional wetlands up in this area here. Does that sound about right? Which would affect the buffers, but not really affect the work. The recommendation was to put another PIB up here. We're proposing to use the wetland medallions. We had proposed to, we're going to add a third up there to kind of highlight that area and that area. And other than that, any questions?
All right, Joe, did you want to go through your comments?
Yeah, I can go through those quickly. As was noted, we had looked at the delineation and found it to be appropriate. Had noted there was a discrepancy in the flag numbers. I think that was just a typo. There was also an existing drain pipe on the plan labeled as sump drain ? We had asked for some additional information on that. Apparently that is a drain from a sump in the basement to carry groundwater from the basement. BBW forms were appropriately filled out. The PIB extra location was noted. And we did also have a comment recommending some additional erosion control. I think the comment was more specific to keeping soil out of the road. The applicant has extended the erosion control barrier along the property line. Just would note that maybe something should be done along the road to keep any erosion from coming out into the road.
Yeah, we did extend it out into the right of way up to the edge of pavement here. This is the road pavement here. This is access for the construction right through here. The topography tends to head all down this way here, so there's kind of a little room for it to come out this way. And during the bulk of the construction, this is going to be a big hole anyway, so any sediment is going to go into the hole and not outside the hole. But I'm not sure what else we can really do there. We did do the one across the street a few months ago and didn't have any issues, if that's any help. Anything there.
Is there a catch basin anywhere here, or?
No. There's a, let's see, we found the drain pipe over here. There's a wetland up here with a drain pipe coming out of it that runs through a couple of these lots and then out into the street, but we couldn't find any storm drains.
Okay. Okay. And all the work is on existing, pre-developed, currently developed area, correct?
Yes, and we think by moving the system to the front yard out of the wetland buffer is a significant improvement.
Yep, absolutely. And the shed, it looks like the corner of that is in the buffer zone, but that's lawn area right there?
That's all lawn.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission? I think it's pretty straightforward. Questions, comments from the audience? Okay. If I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent for 3 Curtis Road.
So moved.
Actually, hold on a second. So issue a negative determination of applicability. My apologies.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So can I offer you a cookie?
I'll take it.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Did you also vote for 10%?
Is those fixed?
Thank you.
Yes, and can we also vote to have Kim sign on behalf of the members present? Our next meeting's 3 weeks out.
I'll make that motion.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Anna.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I like the honorable commission members, too, on the letter.
Noticed that too.
It's a little bit of a stretch, but... Okay, moving along. IMP Hopkinton, 5 Constitution Court. This is also a request for determination of applicability for a soil absorption system improvement. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 at 7 at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in request for determination of applicability filed by IMP Hopkinton LLC for soil absorption system improvements, 5 Constitution Court, Assessors Map R23, Block 73, Lot 3. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Frank Occhipinti with Weston Sampson Engineers, and we're here on behalf of IMP Hopkinton, and we're looking for negative determination today in regards to this project. Again, my name is Frank Occhipinti. I have with me Jordan and Don.
I'm Don Proventure Engineering.
So the background of the project, for the most part, it's an existing wastewater treatment system, and it has a soil absorption system that is currently failing, and this project is to basically improve or repair that failing system, which includes adding a geomembrane barrier in order to prevent the outbreak of the current system. We can just probably go continuing there. So this is essentially the proposed plan in order to install approximately 100 feet of that geomembrane. This plan has been reviewed and approved by Mass DEP, and all of the work is outside of the resource areas, yet inside the buffer areas. We did look at the review comments from Lucas, and some of the key items was extending the erosion control up at the upper right corner, so that's not a problem. We can extend that in order to prevent any runoff from the driveway, I think was one of the main concerns. The other one of substantial concern was just providing just a checklist submittal and the updated wetland flag, so which I think we provided to you earlier today, so those have been provided. And then lastly, I think the only other comment was, again, I think it references back to the
I guess the question was, does it actually qualify as a minor project exemption? Joe, you can elaborate on that?
Yeah, it would. Essentially, while the work is proposed in the previously developed area, I mean, it's technically not quote-unquote lawn, but it is developed. So as written in the bylaw regulations, the exemption is for work in an existing lawn. So that was something for the commission to discuss based on past findings and precedent as far as whether that would qualify for the exemption.
Yeah, my sense is that, in talking with Kim, that it shouldn't for that reason. It sets a precedent, but I don't think that's going to have any material implications related to the project. I think it can still get approved as an IDA, but I'll open it up to the other commission members for comments, questions.
I would just add that typically when I issue exceptions administratively, the work scope is limited to a deck, an above-ground pool, a shed. So that's why I recommended the RDA in this case, because of the work within it's about 500 square feet within the 50, and the scope of the work involving excavation. So that was kind of where my reasoning.
What was the cause of the failure? I mean, it's only been in the ground for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, so when this was permitted with the DEP, probably 5 years ago, I can't remember exactly, but there are 6 leach fields there. It shows like SASP1. There are 5 more of that same size going down the page.
Right, in the back of the property, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All the development is
Up front.
to the north. One of the comments that DEP wanted us to do was to, there are reserve areas between the primary areas, actual full fields. And I had submitted the plan with just excavating out the primary areas and leaving the reserve areas intact. They wanted us to excavate out all of the reserve areas and primary areas. So what we did is we basically removed all of the low conductivity, glacial till soils. It's all basically glacial till soils here. Like up to a 20-minute perk. So it's not nice sand and gravel that you usually have. So it replaced all of that big excavation with Title V sand. So what ended up happening was each of the fields kind of slopes down, one a little bit lower than the other. By putting all of that gravel in there, a lot of the treated effluent ended up kind of migrating through that clean Title V fill and kind of pushing itself right against the edge, to the northerly edge, kind of right in this area here. This is the end of the Title V fill. Basically, this is, the last leach field that was built, the lowest one. So that just put a lot of pressure on the groundwater over here. And there was a little bit of a weep. Of course, this is the proposed plan, but there was a little bit of a weep coming out of here. And that had happened years after it was constructed, when this facility got to full build conditions and a little bit beyond that.
Which was just recently, right?
This was probably a year, 2 years actually ago where it was first seen. So it was a little difficult to discern because there's also an existing swale that just follows down here. And it just, so whenever there was any kind of precipitation, all of the runoff that the swale picked up would just discharge here too. So it's kind of tough to determine if it was effluent, if it was surface water. So the remedy here that we came up with was, since it was this limited area that was the corner of the slope, this was all built up and filled basically. To prevent that from seeping out, we're going to excavate a barrier in here. This barrier is going to be about, I think, 7 feet tall in place. It's a 10-foot tall roll of polyethylene. And, as it's put into the hole, it's probably going to slough a little bit, so we're only counting about 7 feet of vertical barrier. But one of the things we're doing, too, is we're going to redirect this surface swale for runoff and bring it in and tie into another swale here. There was an existing swale here that exists today, and there was really no other swale here. This one just went here and kind of outlet sort of a dead end here. So we're going to bring this around, connect it into this so that all of the surface runoff is going to go off in this direction. And to keep this swale pronounced, we're actually doing a bit of a berm on the edge of the swale, so that this swale can kind of make that corner and not try to flow off this way. And in order to do that, we had to bump this out a little bit in here, more than it was before, to catch any of the runoff that's coming through here, just from rainfall that falls here. We're going to put what it basically is a speed bump, just a, like a Cape Cod berm, basically. And that's going to catch any runoff and kind of just direct it overland here. This is all going to remain unpaved. There's a section of pavement that's paved in here now. We're removing that, so we're actually
It's all
decreasing.
grass, the rest of it?
We're decreasing the impervious surface. What was that
The
again?
rest of it's all grass, right?
Yeah, the rest of it, everything's grass. So the pavement is basically just, in this area here when we're done. This is like a parking area. This is the treatment plant in here. It's in a container. Dynatech designed that in a container. So the treatment happens there, and then the force main pushes it up into the leach field, the treated effluent. So that we feel is going to be the remedy to stop that corner from bleeding out. And I think when we redirect any of the runoff, the nuisance was that when it did flow, and especially when this swale was flowing, it's just the way the contractor had graded this. This was kind of graded out and finished grading after the thing was approved for activation. So, at that time when they graded this thing out, the runoff just comes across, and once it hits this pavement, it just wants to keep flowing down the pavement. So, there was a perceived nuisance of that being the condition there. This is going to help to take that condition away. And I think, that's going to solve the problem, at least out here for what's going on today.
Okay. So do you think like the volume of the wastewater coming off the development is exacerbating the problem too, or do you think it was?
No, I mean, it was designed, trying to remember, like around 50,000 gallons a day, and I don't believe that they're approaching that limit. So it's not that they're generating more wastewater than they should be or anything. They're within the design flow. There had been some spikes in the past, but from what I understand, I think there was a faulty flow meter that was kind of misreading the amount of wastewater that was being generated here. And I think that meter's been replaced. So since that new meter went in, the numbers are a little more reasonable. So I think they're below that 80% threshold limit that DEP looks at for these groundwater discharge permits. If you start approaching 80% of your design flow, that's usually a little bit more than what's normal, and that's why they started asking us about it. And I think it was found that it was a flow meter that was faulty, reporting that faulty information.
Okay. Kim, did you have any other questions? Joe? Commission members? Yep.
Yeah, I have two questions, I guess. The first is, how did you determine the limit of the barrier? It stops abruptly on that 437 contour, just at that corner.
Right.
And the second part, I guess, would be in the discussions with DEP about this approval, you mentioned all the systems tear down to this location, and they asked you originally to put septic sand in the reserve areas as well, kind of creating
Right.
one large system.
Right.
Was there any discussion about putting membrane between the systems to stop all the flow getting to this point?
There was some discussion of that. So the first question is why the 100-foot? Basically because the rolls come in 100-foot length, so we figured we'd use the whole length. That was really nothing magic about that. Locating it on the I think it's the 237 contour, the 437. I can't see these numbers. Yeah, 437. The limit of the weeping it's very small. I mean, it was literally, what it was is where one of the lawnmowers that mow this area occasionally had made a rut in there, kind of started coming out just where that one tire rut was. So it's not like it's along the whole slope or anything. It's really limited to essentially one spot. And that was down at a lower elevation. So in looking at, this elevation of 437, if you go 7 feet deep like we're proposing to do, the bottom would be at 430, which would be below the elevation of where the weeping was observed. So we're kind of cutting it off that way. The other thing is, if you know anything about leach fields, there's always a 5-foot over dig. So the Title V sand runs 5 feet beyond the limit of the leach field. So I wanted to make sure we got it far enough out to make sure we were in the berm, because when this was all created, there was the ordinary fill that was on the site, which is low conductivity, and some of the, was mixed with subsoil and some very low conductivity. There was like a dike built in here in order to contain all of the Title V sand. And I wanted to make sure we weren't excavating this in the Title V sand, because we would be dewatering that forever because it's so conductive. So we pushed it out further so that this membrane would be installed in that low conductivity soil where there shouldn't be as much seepage coming through, because it's not like Title V sand. Did I answer your second question? I don't remember what.
About DEP, the discussions with DEP and whether or not there was putting the barrier between the systems to stop flow from getting to this location.
We did discuss that. DEP didn't like that idea. They basically said, if this didn't work, they like this idea better because you're kind of focusing the fix where the problem is. And it's not posing really any other problem other than that little area that's weeping out. But, they thought that would be the appropriate fix. And if this didn't work, they said they'd probably look at doing something else like that perhaps in the future. But at this point, we're confident and they're confident that this should handle the solution, basically.
Right. Yeah, the reason I asked is you've got that corner where the weeping occurs today happening. You put the barrier in. Are there concerns that the weeping's just going to shift to the other side of the system at the same elevation coming out towards the wetland to the west?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're anticipating that. If we had to come back and do some other interim barrier like that, we will. I think what you're looking at here is that it's basically going to be, other than this little segment in here, we would be outside of the buffer zone. If we had to come back and do something that, if it weeped out here, we could extend it here. If we did a barrier, this is a reserve area here. If we did a barrier here, again, we could do things that, I'm not promising, but I would think it would pretty much be outside of the buffer zone for any other fixes that we're doing. And if it was in the buffer zone, we'd be right back here, obviously. But we're hoping that that's not the case. It was a very minor weep. I mean, they're putting out 35,000 gallons a day. If I had to guess how much seepage was coming out of that corner on a daily basis, if it's a couple hundred gallons, I'd be surprised. I don't even think it's that. I think you're less than 100 or even 50 gallons. It was literally just a very small weep of water coming through there. It was almost imperceptible, except for the fact that, if you go through, we went through, several weeks. This was like, not this summer, obviously, the summer before. We went through several weeks of completely dry weather with no rain, and there was still some seepage coming out of there, so it became evident that it's effluent. It's not just runoff that's coming about there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from commission members? Questions from the audience? Okay, if I can get a motion to issue the negative determination for the request for determination of applicability for 5 Constitution Court, IMP Hopkins.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Signature.
You talk way too much during these meetings. Oh, yeah, and a motion to sign on behalf of the members present for Kim.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I've been told that, actually. For real. Thanks a lot.
Yep, you're welcome. Good luck. Okay. MBTA 0 Cedar Street. This is a continuation of a notice of intent for sediment sampling and vegetation removal. Good evening, folks. Nice to see you in person.
Thank you for having us again.
Yep.
For continued hearing. We want to just provide some updates.
That'd be great.
After
Thank you.
our first hearing, since then we met with Mr. Orzel on site and we resolved some of the on-site flagging issues. And in addition to that, we discussed internally how we can address the mitigation request that was made in the last meeting. And we think the best way is to combine and come up with a joint mitigation plan with Town of Southborough in reference to their order of condition to come up with some sort of mitigation plan for short term within 24 months. And that would be best option for alternative for this project, since we have more real estate on Southborough side rather than being on Hopkinton side, because we don't have that much flexibility on providing some mitigation plan or adding some, putting some additional trees or plants or vegetation. So those are the main two items. I believe we provided some clarification. We can discuss right here to answer if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Joe, do you want to go through your comments?
Sure. As noted, did meet out on site to review the wetland line. There were a couple of areas that I had pointed out in my first memo. One was wetland flags 1.7 and 1.8, which I thought were a bit low. We looked at those and moved 1.7 up to essentially the base of the dam, and that I think accurately represents the edge of the wetland.
I can't even read the flag numbers.
So I believe this one was
It's right in that area, right? Correct.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. Then I also noted that I had observed some hydric soil on top of the dam, on the more the western end of the dam. We took a close look at that, and the extent of hydric soil up there was just not significant enough and too inconsistent. There was a couple spots of hydric and then interspersed with upland soil. So we decided to leave the delineation on the top of the dam as it was originally delineated. I had a comment regarding invasive species. The applicant is discussing invasive species management plan, similar to what was proposed for Southborough.
So we can just put that in as a special condition?
Yep.
Okay, that would be good.
I think you also agreed that there was a lot less invasives.
That's true. The invasives on the Hopkinton side are much less significant dense than they are on the Southborough side. Southborough side is
It's around the parking lot.
yeah, there's a lot on that side, very dense. It's present on the Hopkinton side, but scattered, and not as significant of an issue. They addressed comment on how the sediment laden water would be filtered. If the commission needs to discuss again any proposed mitigation going forward. And I think that covers all the comments. Everything else was, I think, adequately addressed.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Kim, did you have the special condition that Southborough had put in their order? If you could read that for the other commission members.
The special condition from Southborough reads, mitigation for tree removal within a resource area shall be captured within a future notice of intent for work on the dam. Mitigation was stated to be in the form of invasive species control and removal. The future NOI is to be submitted within 24 months of the issuance of this order of conditions. If an NOI is not submitted within the specified time frame, then the mitigation shall be required as part of this order of conditions and contingent upon the issuance of a certificate of compliance.
So that was what Southborough had included in their order, and the thought was that we could just kind of carry that over to ours as well, to be consistent. So that's okay with everyone?
So can I just ask a question on that?
Absolutely.
So the certificate of compliance for this project couldn't be issued for 2 years?
Until the commission finds that the mitigation is satisfactory to them.
Okay.
So there's not a specified, well, yeah, you're right, within 24 months, yeah, it would be 2 years minimum, because,
Unless they file the notice of intent sooner.
yeah. I thought you were talking growing season, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. I would also add to the commission's consideration that I did have a conversation with the DEP reviewer, just because I had some questions about, is conversion alteration? The DEP reviewer expressed that in this instance, because of the limited project status afforded to the dam safety aspect of the vegetation removal, that DEP doesn't require, one-to-one replication. That being said, and taking into account what Joe said about the invasive species on the Hopkinton side, I'm not sure if the commission still wanted to consider or ask for any kind of plantings mitigation. I think the plantings, correct me if I'm wrong, they may have to go in the town of Southborough, but they would still be, hydrologically connected to that waterway. So just something to consider.
Yeah, that's true. Major portion of, or all of the vegetation or the mitigation is going to be in Southborough side.
That's the area where it will most likely be successful, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then Kim, for clarification, that, with the mitigation, is it your opinion that, that will wait until, the work is done and within that 2-year period, or do you think we should be requesting mitigation as part of this initial phase of the project as well?
I think if the commission wanted to request that mitigation as part of this phase, that would be a good faith effort on the part of the applicant, but not necessarily enforceable by the commission because of the exemptions that the MBTA is afforded.
And we're talking about 20 plantings. approximately?
Joe and I were talking about 1-to-1, and his best estimate was around like 50. But you guys would be able to tell us better.
You see the green area that we are showing as kind of like an access area. We would like to keep that area open, kind of like not plant anything, because that would be our future access if we want to go do additional sampling, additional testing with the pond, within the pond. So that would we have to keep that area clear. But if we propose something in that area, that would be toward the end of that project, plus additional area around that access point. But we can come up with a mitigation plan as how many. That would be part of that mitigation plan. We can,
with the 50 plantings. So I guess that makes sense, Kim, right? If they want to keep that open, it doesn't make sense to do the replication, the plantings, if they're going to be driving back and forth and, damaging them, right? So.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Are you talking about in perpetuity keeping the green areas open, or is it specifically for the dam improvement or repair project that you're planning?
Yeah, just for the dam.
Just for that. Okay. Okay.
Not permanent.
Yeah, just until next phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
So yeah, until the actual repair, improvement, whatever turns out of the the sampling and whatever the MBTA is planning for the dam after that's done, it seems like that's obviously the appropriate time to plan.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Is everyone okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Questions or comments from the audience? All right. If I can get...
Chair?
Yes, sorry.
How do you want to specify the number of required mitigation planting?
I can count them up.
You can, okay.
Yeah.
Are we talking about like 12-inch DBH? What are we thinking?
It's up to you guys.
What do you recommend, Joe?
Is there a number that the commission usually uses for mature trees only, or
Well, we were thinking 1-to-1 for this, right? Not the one to
1-to-1 for matures, or?
Yeah. Kim, that's what you were thinking?
I was thinking 1-to-1, yeah.
Yeah, in
So
this
that'd be
case.
12-inch diameter generally is what?
And that's a little
We looked at
large,
it.
but
It's a little large,
it's
but-
generally what I consider to be like a big, nice quality mature, yeah.
I can give you a tree inventory.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I can do a tree inventory for you.
Okay,
Quick one, yeah.
okay. That'd be great. And then we have these 2 special conditions. The invasives management, and then the condition that Southborough put in their order that will basically just replicate. And the replication will take place after the project is completed within the 2 years, or no longer than 2 years,
Or if there is no future project
or if there's no future project.
after 2 years, yeah.
Okay, so if I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent with those conditions, and to have Kim issue on behalf of the members present.
So moved.
And the second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Very good, thank you.
so much.
Absolutely, yeah, help yourself. Yeah.
Get a cookie for coming.
You can take more than one.
Do we have any full size of the final pan? Yeah, we do.
This one.
Want a cookie? Yeah.
No, I don't.
Thank you, I appreciate it though. Just out, is it,
Yeah, just this one.
can you mail me one?
Sure.
Thank you.
No, they didn't give me a copy.
Kim, good to see you. Likewise.
Thank you, folks.
And for pre-construction, we'll be in touch because we're planning to mobilize our team probably sometime in November.
Okay, yeah, give us a call, 3 days ahead of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Toll Brothers, 11 Fitch Ave, 4 Myrtle Ave, and 13 Fitch Ave. Good evening, folks.
Hi there.
Okay, you want to give us an update?
Sure thing. Ed Merchant, Land Development Director with Toll Brothers. When we were for you last meeting, showed you this plan, which is our intent to submit a stormwater permit through the planning board. We met with town staff after our meeting here. I think we are understanding of what staff is requiring for that permit. We intend to submit it. So I think we had talked with Kim about a potential condition were this to be acceptable to this commission. That made sense to me. And I think we're ready to move ahead with 2 of the 3 applications that we have in front of you. The one that I hesitate to move forward on is lot 47, which I think translates to 11 Fitch Ave. And that requires a, why can't I think of the? Yeah, an A&R plan. To remove Adams Street, we intend to go in front of planning board at their next meeting for that, but I didn't want to show it on a plan before that lot really owned that land, for lack of a better word. So the plans that we had submitted to you for these lots have not changed, with the exception of some notes and clarifying that we ran into some issues last time. So they are by and large the same plans that you've seen. We can go into more detail if you want, but I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, and those incorporated the comments that the commission members had in terms of decreasing the lawn area in some cases, right? So those didn't change at all. Those are carrying through on this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so I think what the applicant, so just for the commission's, for context for the commission, the stormwater management permit hasn't yet been issued by the planning board, but there is a commitment from Toll Brothers to move forward with upgrades to the stormwater system at the site, which we've discussed. I don't know if there's any further information that you can provide at this point, but I think we went through that in detail at the last meeting, unless there are any changes to that.
No changes to that. I think it's going to be the application that we put forth to the planning board, and their comments going to determine how it really shakes out, but we intend to make that application and move forward with the permit.
Okay. So, this is a legacy project for the town. It was originally permitted back when many of you on this board were still in diapers, or maybe some of the staff members.
You still are?
So, having said that, Toll Brothers isn't obligated to do the stormwater improvements, but in good faith, they're working with the planning board and with Kim and with John Gelsich on improving the site situation out there, which we've discussed. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that, this isn't something that they're required to do. They're not required to meet the current stormwater standards because it's a legacy project, but there are some significant improvements that are being proposed at the site, as well as upgrades and cleaning out of some of the existing detention basins that are out there. So Toll Brothers will continue to work in good faith with the planning board to get the permit approved. And I believe that they are looking for the commission to close and approve the site for 4 Myrtle Ave and 13 Fitch Ave.
Correct.
And I think a condition that we would want in the order, Kim, would be that, the work would be dependent on the issuance of that final stormwater permit issued by the planning board.
Correct.
Yep, that makes sense to everyone? Okay. Questions or comments from commission members?
Are we discussing both lots at once?
We're gonna, yep, so if you have any questions, yeah. Go ahead, Ted.
So sure, I have question, comment. I'm looking at lot 54, the Fitch Avenue one, not the one next to Adams that we're talking about. And not to repeat everything Jeff said, I thank you for listening to certainly my feedback about lawn size and next to the buffers. And as I said at last meeting, I love the upgrade in the stormwater, and that works for me. I have a question or concern or two. I drove around the I was saying this to Kim before we started, I drove around the Chamberlain Wayland development, the Toll Brothers development, and I'm dismayed to see how often the in-place PIBs are being ignored right now, and lawns are planted and being mown all the way to the silt fence. So my first question is, what is the distance between the PIBs and the limit of work as I look at lot 54? Maybe it's 2 feet. I don't know if that's 2 feet, 10 feet.
So, yeah, I think there are a maximum of 40 feet on center, and then once you get closer down, they do get closer together when you get towards the 50-foot buffer.
Between the PIBs and the limit of work?
But I think, yeah, to answer your question, Ted, I think they're on the limit of work.
They're on the limit of
Oh,
work.
they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even slightly behind the silt fence as is shown on here, but right on the limit of work.
Okay, great. So that makes me feel better. The other thing, again, from the Chamberlain Wayland experience, is to have the limit of work immediately on the 50 at that corner scares me for when there is a big rainstorm. There is no space between the 50-foot buffer and the limit of work, whereas at Chamberlain Wayland, at least we had some, and the stuff still got in. Is there a plan for better erosion control than the normal in that section? So if we do have a serious rain event, that we can count on the erosion control to hold up?
I think we could commit to, so in some of Wayland Chamberlain, we put up super silt fence, which is the chain link back silt fence. I think we could commit to doing that on this lot. And the area that jumps out to me is, right at the rear right corner of the house.
That's where I'm looking.
Basically to the, I would check it up at the other rear corner, maybe go rear corner to rear corner with super sill fence.
Could you do me a favor, Kim? How do you just use the mouse to make sure we're all talking about the same? Or, yeah, great. If you just go up and point.
I'm talking about this ring probably to.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, too.
Yep. I don't have a problem doing that.
Okay. All right, that was my only real concern. Okay. Or question, or whatever that was.
Did you have a question on the other lot, Ted?
No.
Nope.
Okay. You good, Melissa?
Yeah, the only thing that's going through my head here is the corner here. While I appreciate it, I guarantee if there's some big trees here, it's going to be hard to keep that bump out. We can leave it as it is.
You mean like when
and
the
see
new
what
homeowner
happens.
comes in, they're gonna potentially want the trees removed?
Yeah,
Are we talking about that same little curve? I'm sorry.
that same spot. Yeah, that corner that bumps into the house. I mean, I never asked for less buffer, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I think practically speaking, that's a hard corner for somebody to keep it, maintain, and there's no tree, obviously you're not surveying all the trees here, but I'd be willing to bet that
At some
it's
point.
not really feasible to keep that bump out there.
Yeah.
I just make a straight line.
I'm with you on that, especially from the sense of you have one random barrier that jumps out from the rest, so you lose that continuity of those PIBs, what makes it a little bit less obvious where that demarcation wants to be. So getting rid of that triangle, I think, has a couple of benefits there.
Might give you a little more room to play with erosion controls and keeping your vehicle access around.
So
the
rather than
house.
having that kind of 90-degree corner there, we level that out a little bit, I think is, yeah.
Yeah, connect the two dots on either end of that triangle and pull the PIB that's right at the corner of the house back, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet.
Onto that line.
Yeah, up onto that line. So there's a continuous line of those demarcations.
Yeah, I think,
It's a clearer definition to it.
yeah, that's a good point, Melissa, because I think,
What-
yep, sorry, go
What's
ahead,
the
Ted.
distance between the house and that corner as it's proposed?
What's the scale on this?
20 to 50 feet.
Not even. Yeah, I mean, I think
20
you're-
feet, maybe?
I think it's less than that.
I think it's less than that, too.
I think it's less than 10, but something like 10.
This is bring up the situation that we had on Hayden Road where
Well, so,
the PIB
Oh, yeah.
was 10 feet.
Yeah, it looks like it's less than 10.
so if I could nudge back, not even push. If a worry is trees, like we got on Hayden Road, could we keep that shape, but say if there's a large tree, let's remove it and put a rhododendron in there? It seems to me if it's 10 feet, there's plenty of room to get a lawnmower through there.
This is how you end up with a situation where there's maintained lawn beyond the PIB.
Well, no, if we keep the PIB and have rhododendron bushes instead of whatever trees are there, then we're not going to worry about a tree falling on a house. We have the PIBs where they are.
I mean,
Unless I'm misunderstanding the concern.
I'm okay with either option. If you feel strongly about that, Ted, I guess we can.
I don't know how strongly I feel. I don't want to be, I feel generally speaking strongly about protecting the buffers that we are supposed to protect, generally speaking. And I don't know. I think if there are clear PIB markings, there's no confusion. If the worry is someone's going to come back and say that tree is about to fall on my house, can we say you're allowed to remove trees there to prevent that next hearing and put in something on the other side of the PIB now It's not going to fall on the house. And then we maintain that much buffer.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that and then just allow Kim to work with the applicant on, you know, if there is a tree or something that looks like it's going to be an issue, you know, you could
That
give
is
them.
essentially what happens when I get those phone calls. They say, I want to cut down this tree. If it
Yeah.
really is that close to their house, I usually say, you can leave it as a snag, but we need, 1 to 2 mitigation plantings and recommend usually a shrub that doesn't grow as tall. So you essentially end up with the same result.
But we could just save everyone the hassle, while also protecting that part of the buffer. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't feel that strongly about this instance. I feel that strongly generally about protecting the buffer, so.
But we don't know yet that the tree
No,
is questioned.
We don't. I'm saying, even if it's not, a compromise solution is if there's a healthy tree there, I'd be okay with removing it to put in something to protect the buffer, but forestall's not the right word, to make sure we don't have another meeting where somebody just goes over there and cuts down the tree on their own and then says, whoops, I didn't know. It's a buffer protection and insurance against another meeting or violation of a future homeowner or something.
Matt, you good with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. The only reason I was talking about the line that Kim has drawn is I can see there being some potential confusion once these demarcations are out there, when you have kind of a contiguous line and then it jumps off to one point and then jumps back. I just could see that being a little confusing for a homeowner.
Yeah, especially if it's not because the buffer is moved, and it's just random. Yeah.
I could see willful confusion. Seems to me if there's a post, it ought to be understood what that post means. And if there's a bush behind the post, don't go chopping down the bush behind the post and turn it into lawn. I don't know.
I'll leave it up to you guys.
I'm okay with that. I mean, if we want to do the tree thing, I'm okay with it.
If I lose, it's fine. I just...
Yeah, I think the you know, what's proposed there that Kim has makes sense, Ted. You know, I see your point. I mean,
I kind of like to set them up for success rather than fight later.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ted, if it's okay with you, if we can go with this.
Yeah, again, it's more principle than this specific instance.
Okay. So if you guys can just make that change of the plan and resubmit it to us,
Sure.
That'd be great. Okay, questions or comments from the audience?
One question.
Yes.
So we make this triangle here, we have the virtual line we're going to take away. Now, let's just assume for the sake of argument, there's a big healthy tree in there. There's no reason the tree has to be taken down if the homeowner doesn't want it taken down. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Kim, we good? Yes.
Alex Scott from 15 Blueberry Lane. So the other lot was 47, right?
Yeah. 52 and 54 are the two lots.
Triangular one. So if Toll Brothers has bought this now, I just want to make sure they understand the order of conditions. Number 96 is that they'll put a drainage system in my backyard. It's pretty specific and laid out with diagrams how to do that. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Yep, we're aware. I also want to point out, we don't own these lots yet. We're still working with the seller to finalize, but we understand that that's will be part of what we do. And I think it's the first thing that we have to do when we get out there. So.
Okay. If I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent for Myrtle Ave which is lot 52.
I'll make that motion.
And to have Kim sign on behalf of the members present. And a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And if I can get a motion to close and approve Lot 54, Fitch Avenue.
Jeff,
Yep.
I would just add to that motion, our special condition contingent upon the planning board's approval of a stormwater management permit.
Yes, yep.
Can
So
I ask a
that'll
question
be a
on that,
special.
too?
Yes.
I'm assuming that what we will do is make the revision, we're talking about Myrtle Ave, or, oh, well, when we get to Fitch, I have a question. Not on Myrtle.
Yeah, so Fitch, we're doing now.
Okay.
So that special condition will be included in the vote for Myrtle Avenue. So that one was closed and approved. For Fitch Ave, what was your question?
My question was, I'm assuming that we will change the triangle and add the super silt fence to the plan. And that will be the plan that's referenced?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep, so,
That way it'll be done because it's on the plan. That's,
and then a special condition on this one as well, you know, the approval is contingent on the planning board issuing the stormwater special permit.
Jeff or Kim, before we vote on 54, what was that last bit? I heard, because I was just about to say, with our new drawing, where's the super silt fence extending to? I think that's what you were just talking about. I just couldn't hear it.
It wasn't.
Oh,
so we talked about was basically from here around, we could go to there.
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
I just wanted to make sure that we could, you're going to vote now, but we could submit a plan that showed that on the plan that would be referenced in the order.
But yeah, I'm okay going to the beginning of the new draw line. Yeah, that's fine.
And also, Toll Brothers will be employing construction period best management practices which prevent a deluge of water from backing up against that silt fence. So it shouldn't be necessary anyways to have it be so challenged.
We'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion to issue, to close and issue the notice of intent with the special conditions noted and subject to a revised plan being submitted showing the alteration of the limit of work in the one corner, and to have Kim sign on behalf of the members present.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. If we can get a motion to continue the hearing for 11 Fitch Ave to the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Mr. Murphy? Okay. So moved. And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Ed,
Ed and Matt. We did it. All right, a motion to adjourn the meeting?
All wrapped up so quickly suddenly.
I know.
Second.
All in favor?
Just like that.
Wait.
Aye.
We didn't, do you want continued signature pages for the toll extension in 20 Saddle Hill?
Yeah, I do.
So can we just, toll extension, Kim sign, and 20 Saddle Hill COC, Kim sign, please?
Yep, motion.
So moved.
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and now we'll do the motion to adjourn.
You're looking for the motion, or someone make it already?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry. Well,
Hey, Alex, I saw your photo.